Welcome. My name is Alan, and I will be discussing four concepts with you, accompanied by some scholarly journals around those concepts. I will then move on to share with you some information about a volunteer organization and follow this up with my experiences in that organization. We will continue as I correlate my experiences to the concepts discussed earlier and end this narrative with my suggestions for changes or improvements for the organization to better meet those concepts. The first concept we will explore is empowerment and how it relates to school students. McQuillan shares his thoughts with when it is assumed that adults should tell students what to do, when to do, how to do it, and whether they did it right, it takes no particular wisdom to suggest one would rather be elsewhere. He is suggesting that the students would rather have freedom and empowerment than be subject to a dictatorship. McMillan goes on to share where student participation was encouraged and nurtured, the students often became proponents of change. Supporting this same thought process, Dada shares her thoughts by adding, children are inadvertently curious and eager to learn, and will be more so when adults step aside and give them room to stretch. Empowerment can be seen as giving students the freedom and responsibility to learn. The second concept we will discuss is respect and how it relates to school students. Chen references Williams as he describes his thoughts on the idea of respect in Western culture, as respect for others requires an identification with them in the sense of taking up their point of view in seeing a given situation. Chen adds to that by saying that respect involves adopting a more supporting stance towards others' interests rather than merely interfering with their freedom. Here we can correlate this view of respect as recognizing others' contributions and participating by working together. The third principle we will discuss is empathy and how it relates to school students. Munyon shares his thoughts on empathy by creating a vision of what should be. An accepting climate embraces the great beauty, wisdom, diverse stories, and backgrounds of people from all cultures and operates from the belief that all students deserve the right to learn and grow. He goes on to make a very powerful statement that helps shape empathy. We have to lead with love. Our anger, sarcasm, and defensiveness may be justifiable, but they are just as destructive as racism. Here, empathy is not about sympathy, but rather being open to anything and everything and curbing our actions and reactions so not to extinguish the flame that burns in all of us. The final principle is community, and again, we will link it to school students. Chavez refers to Sanderson and Polson's description of community as an association of people who share common social interests and who develop a sense of solidarity from their participation with others in institutions. Chavez goes on to add that intense and sustained interaction are essential for developing a common identity, as this is how people learn about one another and develop an awareness of each other's struggles, hopes, and fears. Here we see the seeds of respect and empathy becoming the foundation for a community. As you probably have guessed by now, the volunteer organization we will discuss has something to do with school students. The organization is Junior Achievement of the Delaware Valley, which is an affiliation of Junior Achievement USA and Junior Achievement Worldwide. In the narrative, I will refer to Junior Achievement as JA. The following comes from their website. JA uses hands-on experience to shape the lives of young people and open their eyes to future success. JA is the world's largest and fastest growing volunteer-driven, nonprofit economic education organization. Our programs are taught by classroom volunteers from the business community in your area across America and in over 113 countries. Locally, JA of the Delaware Valley impacts the lives of over 15,000 students each year in Bucks, Chester, Delaware, Montgomery, and Philadelphia counties. JA is a recognized leader in empowering young people to own their own economic success through volunteer-led learning. JA's mission is to inspire and prepare young people to succeed in a global economy. Their core values are belief in the boundless potential of young people, commitment to the principles of market-based economics and entrepreneurship, passion for what we do, and honesty, integrity, and excellence in how we do it, respect for the talents, creativity, perspectives, and backgrounds of all individuals, belief in the power of partnership and collaboration, conviction in the educational and motivational impact of relevant hands-on learning. We can see the essence of empowerment, respect, empathy, and commitment in the mission and core values of the organization. To add another perspective, I will share with you the thoughts of leaders, volunteers, and students from the JA Company program. Judy is a student in the JA Company program at IKEA, and her thoughts were: JA empowers students by giving them the opportunity to understand every stage of running a business. Students get real-world experience from the program. Sheila, a volunteer at IKEA, shares the following on empowerment. JA gives students an opportunity to take on leadership roles, such as president or vice president, to develop their skill set of how to be successful in a leadership role. Moving on to respect, Tim, a JA volunteer at IKEA, shares with us: by having a group of kids from different schools and backgrounds being put together and working towards the same goal opens them up to different viewpoints. They learn to work with others through listening and interaction that they may not encounter back in their home school. Paul, the president of JA of the Delaware Valley, shares that there is a great deal of respect for the time and sacrifice of the volunteers, and the volunteers in turn respect the fact that they are entrusted for an hour to empower and help students attempt to help the community. Next, I will share their thoughts on empathy. Jerry, the program director at JA of the Delaware Valley, states that our capabilities are anchored in diversity, creating the appreciation for the strength that is created by bringing various people together from various cultural backgrounds. She goes further by adding that creative thinking and the appreciation for divergent thinking helps build empathy, as divergent thinking is often the key to success with its out-of-the-box approach. Sheila, a volunteer, adds that we have an understanding of the challenges that students are faced with while running their own company and try to support by offering coaching and leadership. Now looking to community, Ricardo, a student, shares this statement: my thoughts on the program is that it brings us all together as a community. Kara, a JA volunteer at IKEA, shares, junior achievement allows kids from different schools an opportunity to come together and form a new community of like-minded business-focused peers. Jerry, the program director, adds that JA creates a community of stakeholders by linking educators, business leaders, and parents, who in turn become a part of the community that provides for the students. To end this section, I will share thoughts from Judy, a JA student. Students get a sense of community from the program and are able to develop their relationship with their own school community. They learn to give back to the community. I first came in contact with JA in 2005 by becoming involved with the JA Company program. In 2012, I approached the leaders at JA and the leadership team at IKEA to explore becoming a JA Company program host site. The program started in October of 2012 with 18 volunteers from IKEA and high school students from 5 area high schools. The program runs for 15 weeks and starts at 5 p.m. and ends at 7 p.m. every Tuesday evening. JA provides the volunteers with a program manual that sets a frame for every weekly session. The volunteers need to coordinate meeting rooms, travel schedules, to ensure volunteers are available to coach and mentor the meetings, speakers from within IKEA, and provide food and drinks for the students and volunteers. The JA Company program is made up of 5 departments: human resources, production, marketing, finance, and public relations. The students can run for the position of company president or for one of the vice president positions available in each department. Both the students and the volunteers align themselves with a department. As volunteers, we originally decided to stretch ourselves and align ourselves with a department outside our areas of expertise. In my case, I have kept out of the departments to maintain an overview of the entire process. I have left the finance department in the hands of 2 capable volunteers from IKEA's supply chain group. All that being said, the opportunity to coach and mentor students as they learn to come together to form a company is a tremendous gift. By actively listening and allowing the students to work through issues themselves, and by offering open-ended questions when needed, creates the opportunity for me to witness their growth. That growth came in the form of empowerment, respect, empathy, and community. I will now share what I learned from my experience as it relates to the four concepts in JA. The JA Company program creates student empowerment by allowing students to form and run their own business. In the process, what I learned is that the program helps students realize that they need to delegate, trust, and hold each other accountable in a respectful way. I could clearly identify the students that were so focused on the goal that they lost sight of the process of allowing others to be empowered to perform. Going back to McQuillan and recalling that where student participation was encouraged and nurtured, the students often became proponents of change, it is important to coach the students to move away from a dictatorship and to empower and trust others to deliver. I will refer back to an interview with Tim, a volunteer, for his insight into respect, where he shares by having a group of kids from different schools and backgrounds being put together and working towards the same goal opens them up to different viewpoints. They learn to work with others through listening and interaction. This complements Chen, where she stated that respect involves adopting a more supporting stance towards others' interests rather than merely interfering with their freedom. As a volunteer, it is my role to actively listen and coach the students to ensure they allow each other the space and time to share their differing viewpoints. At the same time, I have to be very mindful as a coach not to steer the students or have a particular ending in mind during the process. Otherwise, instead of empowering the students, I would end up driving the outcome. Moving on to empathy, you may recall that Munyon created a vision of an accepting climate embraces the great beauty, wisdom, diverse stories, and backgrounds of people from all cultures and operates from the belief that all students deserve the right to learn and grow. Add to this that Jerry, the program director at JA, stated that our capabilities are anchored in diversity, creating the appreciation for the strength that is created by bringing various people together from various cultural backgrounds. I also have the privilege of working for a very diverse global company that embraces the power and advantages that diversity creates. With students from 5 area high schools with diverse cultural, ethnic, religious, and economic backgrounds, there were many things to consider during the process of coaching and mentoring. The words we choose to form open-ended questions have to be considered in all contexts, and as a coach, I have to have the patience to form the right questions, sometimes an area which I struggle. For community, I will go back to Sanderson and Polson, where they describe community as an association of people who share common social interests and who develop a sense of solidarity from their participation with others in institutions. This complements a statement from Judy, a JA student. Students get a sense of community from the program and are able to develop their relationships with their own school community. They learn to give back to the community. I was given the privilege and honor to coach, mentor, and witness a group of students from various places come together to form a community as they created and managed their own company. I can feel a sense of pride and belonging in the group. Whether their contribution was in selling or administration, they all sensed the importance of the role they played. Another reflection was that as we witnessed the students, they in turn witnessed 18 volunteers from various aspects of IKEA operations come together and form a community around them. For suggestions on improvement, the one that sticks out most revolves around the volunteer training sessions. An IKEA volunteer shared that our session felt more like a sales pitch, and yet we were already sold. In reality, we needed a comprehensive how-to guide, not a sales pitch. Thinking further on that note, maybe we as volunteers are being empowered to use the provided tools in a manner that delivers the expectations of JA and the students, and at the same time, not being dictated every step in the process. Another thought is how we can make students aware of the commitment prior to the onset of the program. Do they really understand that administrative processes go hand in hand with the product selection and selling aspect of running the program? I want to thank the leaders of JA, the volunteers at JA, and most importantly, the students that participate in the JA Company program at IKEA for their time and commitment to share their thoughts and ideas on the concepts in JA.